What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode on the Behind the Scenes with Omar show. Today, I'm going to be sitting down with my good friend, seven-figure entrepreneur Kevin Dana, and he's going to be asking me questions all about brand building and why some personal brands succeed, but most fail. I've had the privilege now to sit down with hundreds of high-level seven, eight, nine-figure entrepreneurs, the millionaires and billionaires of social media, and also the people that kind of disappeared. So today, I got Kev on, and Kev's going to ask some cool questions. So excited to help you out and dive right in, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a thing that I find the most interesting because, as you know, especially in the last since I don't know since 2020, I'd say it's just gone like skyrocket. Especially when Hormozi started coming out, everyone turned into like a Hormozi clone, right?
Right.
So the main thing is like everyone has a personal brand, whether they use it or not really do it, or they don't utilize it well, or they do. What do you notice, like the Iman Ghadzis, the Hormozis, Dan Martels, Cody Sanchez? The people who make it because making it in business is one thing, but statistically from the research I've seen, it's harder to become like I guess a guru than it is to succeed at a high level in business, because statistically there's how many people make millions of dollars in real estate? A ton. How many people do you know in the real estate space who are a well-known guru? There's like maybe five, maybe 10. So like,
Yeah.
what's the difference? What's the separator? Why are these people, why are their brands? And I have my own take, but like, what's your
Yeah.
take? Why they're just putting content every single day and they just never blow up. They never get any traction.
Yeah. So a couple things. I think for me, I think it's like four core things. Of course, there's a million things with a personal brand, but I think the first number one is credibility, right? So like I think in this day and age, I think Hormozi did it best, right? When he first started on YouTube, he'd say, "Hi, I'm Alex Hormozi. I have $100 million company. I have nothing to sell you." So within the first like 5 seconds, you establish the credibility. If you look at Iman's videos or you look at anybody that's blown up in the space, the number one thing they do is make sure to notify who they are, right? So that's the first thing. Now, a lot of people could have that, right?
10
But they
seconds
don't.
within seconds of the video, like every intro, kind of.
In the beginning, until people knew, that's what they would do in the first 15 seconds, 100%. Because people who watch content are thinking one of two things always: me too or so what? Me
Yeah.
too or so what? Right? So if you're just talking, it's like there's no weight to your words. So you have to establish the credibility to your words before your words talk.
When you say me too, I know I understand the so what,
Yeah.
but like what about what's me too?
Me too is like I can relate. Like for
Okay.
example, here's how I went from zero to $100 million. They go, "Oh, I want to do that too." Here's how I overcame a breakup or I turned the pain of my breakup into power. Oh, me too. I can relate to that. Hey, do you have a business doing this, right? For your niche, right? People go, "Oh, me too." What do a lot of online gurus do in most of their ads? Hey, are you struggling booking calendar? People go, "Oh yeah, me
So
too." Right?
you just want to make sure that they're going to do one of two things. You just want to make sure they're not doing the so what, they're doing the me
Correct.
too.
Correct. So that's the first thing, right? Is that it's aspirational. There's something that you have that they want too, number one. Then the second part of it is going to be actual proof, right? I think nowadays more than ever, people want proof as to the credibility. So proof could be testimonies, proof could be social proof, proof could be the car, proof could be the house, proof could be anything. It could be visual, it could be your Stripe account, it could be testimonies, like I said, but something, lifestyle, right? There's no tangible, concrete one way to do it. But I think when people right up front start with that and they have those two things, then it goes to the next two things, which is the story and then obviously quality content with original ideas. That's it. And everybody you've ever seen, the only difference is that they have either watered down versions of any of those things or they weren't consistent long enough. For example, Hermosi's not a flashy guy.
Everyone's
He
a
doesn't,
copycat. Yeah.
what's that?
Everyone just copies. Everyone's just a watered down version of Hormozi. Like
Right,
a lot of the
right.
people, like, why would I watch you when I could watch Hormozi? You're saying the same stuff and you don't even have none of the credibility.
Correct. And that's where original ideas come from, right? So when you have original ideas tied to quality, then you get people sticky. I'll give you an example, right? In a business context, yes. If someone makes $100 million and gives you advice, you're probably going to weigh that heavier than somebody who makes 4 million or 3 million or 100 grand and they give you
10,000 a
advice, right?
month. There's a lot of those guys. 10,000 a month. They're giving you advice.
Right, right, whatever it is. A lot of those guys just made it. And so they have a limited perspective based on what they see. Now, should they be creating content or not? Maybe, but I think it's predicated on one thing, and that is the original idea. I think the marketplace rewards originality more than anything. You said it best, right? A lot of people copy. How many times do you see these gurus copying Tony Robbins' old stuff, or nowadays people regurgitating Hormozi stuff, or even trying to regurgitate Iman stuff, right? There's everybody has an agency and they're trying to flash the lifestyle the same way and everything. But the difference is original ideas, right? And original ideas could be anything. It could be a story, right? Like Hormozi has a story about how he drove from across the country, showed up at a guy's house, and made it happen, right? He also is an attractive character in the sense that he's super buff and then is counterintuitive to everybody, right? He goes against the grain. Everybody wanted a Bentley and a suit and to be dressed nice. Hormozi has what are those things called? Those shoes. What are they called?
Crocs.
Crocs. Yeah, he's got Crocs, a muscle tee, some ripped shorts, a beard, a backwards hat. You know what I mean? Not a traditional $100 million guy. So it's a pattern interrupt, right? When you look at guys like Iman, notice he has like an accent, right? Charlie
Do you
Morgan, they
think
got an
that was,
accent. Sam
do you
Ovens got an accent.
do you think with Hormozi that was purposeful from a brand building perspective, or do you just feel like he's just like, this is who I am, and he just stayed off? He didn't try to necessarily be something. He just stayed true to who he is, and he didn't try to be who he's not.
Yeah, I think it's authentic, but I also think there's a certain amount of intentionality with that. Like for example, in videos, he's wearing an acquisition.com hat and an acquisition.com shirt. Do I think he would have been wearing that anyways if he didn't have a show that it was on? Probably not, right?
Yeah.
But does it incentivize you to when you do? Probably so, right? So I would say it's a mix of the two, right? To a certain degree, people are going to adapt for the camera. Even when I interviewed Andrew Tate, how Andrew Tate is off camera versus on camera, it's the same ethos, same person, but you show up a little bit differently, a little bit more magnified or a little bit more on for the camera, right? In the same way, all of us are who we are authentically, but in a business meeting or a transaction with a client or customer, we're a different version of ourselves, not a fake one, but like an appropriated one for the goal or the outcome of that context, right? So I think that is huge, but I think the differentiator in terms of the lever people can check because a lot of people are buff, a lot of people have $1 million businesses, a lot of people can have the same cars, but the real thing that people can't fake or the nuanced thing is proof, right? The way you demonstrate credibility, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a higher number than someone else. It could just be a method, a process, an age, something unique about your proof or your credibility. And then the other thing, going back to the thing, is the original idea or an original story. So, for example, I was talking to Iman one time when I was in Dubai with him, and I asked him, like, dude, how did you build this huge brand and all this stuff? And he was saying that he actually realized like a lot of people early on in YouTube the last couple of years, there was a lot of people who were trying to talk about how to make 100,000 a month, 200,000 a month, 500,000 a month. But the challenge is that mass market doesn't believe that. So notice Iman, even though he's been making millions for years now, I've known him. His videos are like how to make 10,000 a month, how to get your first twenty
Like
five
one of
hundred
the,
dollar client.
he's like one of the first 10,000 a month guys, gurus, whatever you want to say.
Correct, correct. And then he never stopped his messaging. I met Iman in 2018, which is crazy to think that was 7 years ago. But even then, the guy hasn't pivoted that much. He's added different things to what he's doing, but the
He has the
original core is
same
exactly the
target
same.
market. He has the same target market and demographic, pretty much.
Yeah, same target market, same demographic, same messaging, same avatar, same everything. He just ascended, and so his credibility did too, but his market didn't change. It's kind of like regardless of what you are, it's like Jesus, right? When Jesus ascended, Jesus didn't change his messaging. It just became more prophetic, right? He didn't go from 1 million people following him to 8 figures, right? 10 million people following him, and then change the business model. It's like the same thing, and he just took it all the way, right? And so I think what happens too is those stories become echoed, right? Like when you look at a Tony Robbins, for example, notice that Tony's not telling new stories, Iman's not telling new stories. Even biblically, right? Take religion. Who had the biggest personal brand of all time? Arguably Muhammad or Jesus, right? Look at what they did. They had original stories. They had proof in miracles that they talked about. They had followers or disciples that followed them. They never changed the message, no matter the obstacle or people who came against them. But first and foremost, is they had original ideas that they consistently communicated over a sustained period of time. And when
Yeah.
those stories are original, it cuts deep. Like most people, like Iman even told me this, people buy coaches, not coaching.
Yeah.
People buy coaches, not coaching. And coaches are the stories that people associate. Like, think about Iman always talking about the story about his mother, helping his mother, freeing his mother, buying his mom a house. Like, you know how many people bought courses because they want to do that with their mom too, right? Going back to the so what or me too. He wasn't saying like, oh, I got the Rolly or I got this or I got that alone. He was showing that, but he's also saying, guys, look, I have this stuff, but what's more important is taking care of your mom. Is what's more, and he's showing it on camera. And so those are the things that I think build a strong brand. When you are essentially you are showing other people that you're living their dream.
Yeah.
Period. There's always room for that. And there's always a demand for new faces, like there's always new music. And I think what happens is a
Yeah.
lot of
And then
people
if
when
you
they
look
build.
at like an
Mhm.
Iman, his brand, and then like a complete on the other side, you look at, hey, I'll use Wes Watson as an example. The people that follow him, they look like mini versions of him, tatted, blasted, and they're they're all doing the
Right.
stuff, and it's like it's so interesting. It's the same thing with the Amon's audience, 18 to 22, 18 to 25, just young hustlers, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. The avatar, they're clear on their avatar. And then also they communicate a consistent message. And one of the beauties, Dana White talks about this, is like one of the beauties is like nowadays, most people are not that committed, right? Even when it comes to podcasting, I saw a stat that said 80% of podcasters don't get past their first 4 to 6 episodes, right?
Yeah,
And so anyone could get excited, anyone could ask a million questions, anybody could say, how do I start a podcast or a YouTube show? But most people start and stop. And so by default, here's the crazy part. Look at people who started a YouTube channel at the same time as Iman Ghadzi or Alex Hormozi.
yeah.
And forget about views. Throw views out the window. Just
Just
look
who
at
kept, who
output.
kept posting. Yeah.
Yeah, just look at output.
I posted my first video in 2019.
Exactly. Exactly. There's a lot of people that did. And then they posted their last video in 2020. It's like they do it for a couple months or years. So that's the thing is like it looks like there's a lot of things, but it's really just a core of like 4 to 5 things max, right? And you get better through time. Like if you look at
I just
Hermos,
I feel like this is from what I've noticed because I'm not quite in that space yet. Now I'm getting on the side where I have the time and it makes sense for me to like really like actually like pursue content and actually like building a personal brand more than I have been. I've been
Mhm.
studying it a lot. Obviously, I haven't been doing. I've just been noticing everything about it. I've studied Amon, Hormozi, and all the every person that I've seen blows up. They just are authentic. Like all the people that aren't or maybe they blow up a little bit and then they're gone. You can just tell they kind of have when you listen to them that snake oil salesman. Like you just feel weird. Like nothing seems authentic. And I think we're in a trust recession. I was talking. I don't know if you know Jeremy Haynes, kind of what you
Yes.
with the trust assets. So we just brought him on as a consultant. All we're doing right now in our this isn't organic, but this is just on our paid. Just in is radical transparency. It's like, hey guys, you're probably wondering like how many like there's so many companies out there who will screw you over. You're probably wondering if this is another one of those. So here's our Stripe account. Here's total transactions. Here's the disputes we've had, and literally going explaining every single dispute or issue, like literally on the pre-call video, because we had it initially before working with Jeremy. We were doing like, the little mini webinar. And it's just like all it is now is just proof, social proof. Hey, look, here's our background check. Here's to show you I'm not like a crazy person. I'm not going to just take your money and run. Like here's, our ratings. Um, and
Yes.
people, because everyone is a liar on the internet. Everyone, whether they're fabricating. So it's like when you just go against the grain and you're transparent to a fault and you're sharing the dirty stuff. You're sharing the stuff people probably don't want to hear.
Right.
Um, now people like, okay, I actually, because he said this, I actually like trust him.
Exactly.
What I've seen is like
Exactly.
you almost by just being who you are and being real is now what you do to stand out. In
And
my
and if people see you grow, here's the other thing I've realized too, bro. And like a lot of people don't talk about this when it comes to personal branding. Is when people see you grow, their trust for you grows even more, right?
yeah,
So you can be authentic, but if you're getting fitter and fitter in every video, you're getting richer and richer in every video. I hate to say it, but you're getting another car in every video, what or a
yeah.
watch or whatever it is, like it or whatever it is, your insights, the business, your
Talking, yeah.
partnerships, whatever the thing is if people see you grow and a year from now you're still consistent with your content, it's like, whoa, you really practice what you preach. You're eating your own vitamins. So people are going to trust your vitamins. You know what I'm saying? So when you see a
And
Hermosi
even
go
Andrew
from
Tate, even Tate posted on YouTube for years and years, right? And then he just blew up, what, 2020, 2019? When did he
COVID,
blow
yeah.
up? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you only see the compounded effect of that. Even Iman, bro. Like I remember Iman early on. like he was super consistent, and he had a lot of videos that would get 1,000 views, 2,000 views for years. And then the compound effect just hits, and you get a video that hits, and another thing hits, and another, and then boom, pretty soon, you just catch your momentum because the competitors have to watch somebody, right? Like somebody's gonna blow up. There always has to be a new winner, a new face, a new musician, a new actor, a new whatever it is, a new business that pops up, a new disruptor, right? There's always going to be somebody new, and so the common denominators of the new winners, so to speak, are consistency, originality, and proven value. And so when you prove it and you're upgrading, right nowadays, I love that you said trust recession. Even when you look at softwares, how fast they're updating and upgrading nowadays. I
Yeah.
think personal brands are the same thing. Like same thing, corporate brands, right? Like a lot of companies are taking big hits with their branding, and so now they're starting to do collaborations with creators so they could stay relevant. Like, look how Mark Zuckerberg, his personal brand, right? He's like getting into like this is a topic that I think is so fascinating. Maybe it's a separate video we do. Maybe that's a good topic. But like nobody talks about Zuckerberg's rebrand. I'm fascinated by that. This guy went from being the geekiest tech evil billionaire in the eyes of society to building a personal brand where he's hanging out with Dana White. He loves Trump. He goes to UFC fights. He fights UFC. He wears like Richard
Yeah.
Meals. Like, it's him appealing to the masses in all these ways that he didn't before. So when you have billionaires and the Tony Robbins and the Gary V's and all these guys who are super successful in business building personal brands, you got to realize, there's something to that, right? Why are these big
One thing
guys doing it?
one thing I've paid attention to is just the streamers, and they're making more money than a lot of the entrepreneurs. And so it's like
Yeah.
literally like 100 million. Like Aiden Ross probably does 100 million a year, probably. I don't know, something close to that, maybe 50. I don't know, but those are the guys like they're making. So I'm always like, it would be an interesting like gap to bridge, and I want to eventually. Would definitely a goal is to get around in that streaming community and just kind of see if there's something there for like entrepreneur streaming space of like just like streaming as an entrepreneur or something because they're very different. Obviously, they're entertainers, and yes, they are entrepreneurs and they have business entities. They have companies that they just attach onto their personal brand and go from 0 to 100 million overnight. You can see with Logan Paul and The Rock with his tequila brand and just the entertainers. I know it's like people got to pick between, and it's an interesting thing, and I even wrestle with it. Is like entertainers, you either like entertain or educate, like one of the
Right.
two. And trying to how to kind of like merge them. Like Hormozi's obviously hardcore, just educate. He doesn't do any entertain. He is really good on camera in the way he teaches, so he holds attention longer than most. He has definitely a gift for just being concise and clear and the way and interesting with the way he explains things, which doesn't make you want to fall asleep like a lot of
Right.
people. That's what
Right.
I'm curious with like the combination because I'm here like with my YouTube an example like starting like, okay, we'll do some broad content of like picking up people in a Lamborghini. Hey, I used to Uber, now I have a Lamborghini. Let's pick up people in a Lamborghini and a Uber, and then like stuff like that. That's more like entertainment, and then just kind of wrestling with that. Yeah,
One of the things. Yeah, to your point on that, I would say like two things. One of the things is experimentation, right? I think Hormozi even talked about it. Like you saw the video where he was doing like food, like Cocoa Pebbles,
Yeah,
protein, right? Like
expanded
yogurt.
it and contracted it because he saw the results increase, but his bottom line didn't because he wasn't getting the same type of people that he wanted.
Correct, exactly. So then you got to reverse engineer what you're doing it for, right? Like one of the things that was smart early on is that Iman kept it in terms of like he would educate, but it always seeded back to the agency is what gives me this lifestyle. And he got to the point where he was doing 6 figures a month in AdSense, and he's publicly shared this, so I'm not sharing anything that like is not public knowledge that he hasn't shared. But he was
Yeah.
doing 6 figures a month in just AdSense. So when you're doing over 100,000 a month on your YouTube channel, you're literally getting paid, 1.2 million or more a year to advertise. It's like you're getting paid to market and then drive products to your sales.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's like
It's
Facebook.
amazing.
Like it's like if like we're spending, I don't know, a couple $1,000 a day, like maybe 1,500 bucks a day on Facebook. That would be like Facebook paying us 2 grand a day.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's like and it's crazy to think about, but the compounded effect of doing that over and over, like that's where the magic happens. And so I think like even nowadays, like when I consult clients or whatever, is I always go like if you think about it, like people say, "Oh, I want a personal brand like him or her." first and foremost, before you worry about what to say and how to say it, you got to notice the fact that I mentioned like one of those two things is they experimented a lot. Like you really want to build a personal brand? Are you willing to make 500 videos before you get a million subs?
Yeah.
Like straight up, like that straight up. That's not hyperbole. It's not an exaggeration.
I
Are
am.
you
Yeah.
are you willing to make two, three, four, 500 video? You know what I mean? And
I
so
understand the extent, like, because it's easy to understand, especially coming from just business. I had a guy today, I just had a call with him in our company. He had launched his business for like 7 days. I'm like, dude, it's 7 days. I'm like,
right,
what? Why are we even talking?
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, 100%. And it's like, yeah, my timeline is like 10 years. Just
right.
like, yeah,
Exactly. And then not only that, you take your time, you do volume, but then number two, like I mentioned, is you experiment, right? Like Hormozi experimented with that. Iman experimented with that. Tony Robbins, look at Gary V. Like all the top content creators in the world are Mr. Beast, right? They're constantly experimenting. And most importantly, Kev, they're playing to their strengths. And the only way you learn your strengths on camera are by experimenting. Even this channel that I'm doing raw, like even if the audience watching this right now, I know this is probably only going to get a couple hundred views or maybe a couple thousand views or whatever it is, but I'm playing to my strength. I'm talking with my friend who I'm vibing with. I got the pod set up here. I work best not looking straight to a camera. Sometimes I do good with those, but I wanted to experiment doing Q&A, raw, unpolished, no light, no whatever, tree in the background. You're a little overexposed, right? But the value's there. And in the process of experimentation, it's not so much about this video, it's about the compounded effect where consistency of this video improves the quality over time. I learn how to communicate certain ideas better. You might take a distinction, right? And so it's being willing to experiment and trusting that it's not about video one, it's about where you want to be video 250, right? And
yeah.
so if you can
What's
just
the
accept that in
volume?
advance, that's how you'll grow the brand.
What's the volume that you have in mind? So right now, like we're doing our RCA, so like our company's YouTube channel. I'm posting on there. Those are daily uploads. They're simple, raw. I'll set up the little DJI Osmo, film it, upload it. I don't even care about the thumbnail yet. We just got a video guy, so that's gonna change. But just like non-negotiable, one daily upload, takes 10 minutes, do a training, mindset, whatever, anything that has to do with our business. And then for my channel, personal channel, I kind of wanting a little higher quality on some stuff. So I'm doing like one a week, commit to one a week on
Yeah.
there. And you think I should do like think I should obsess about the quality or just go purely just volume. Obviously, I wanted the first video is gonna be that Lambo video. You were there for that. That's gonna be the first one. And then I'm gonna just do some basic ones where I'm like here on the beach, like, hey guys, here's just like how to get anything you ever wanted in your 20s.
Yeah.
Basic stuff like that. So I have the first video, but then like in and out of like I do high production stuff. But if I want to get volume, I have to do some of the other stuff just so I have volume and people know who I am. Because I can't, I'm so picky. Like this one video is taking forever just because I'm so anal
Yeah,
about
yeah. No, I totally get it. I mean, sometimes, dude, it takes us weeks to get intros right. It could take us, 2, 3 weeks to get, 2, 3 intros right for the high quality channel. Great question. I struggled with this for a long time, and then literally, I was at a seminar last week, and it just clicked for me. I realized that I used to work for Rob Dyrdek at the Fantasy Factory, and at one point, Rob had 3 hit shows on MTV. He had Ridiculousness, Fantasy Factory, which I was on the last episode of the last season with on MTV. Shout out Rob. And he also had, was it Robin Big, Ridiculousness, and Fantasy Factory. So those 3 shows. And I remember, and then he had like a slew of like 5, 6 businesses that were all like 8 figure, multi 8 figure companies. And when I would see him, he was always chill and relaxed. And I remember like I was like talking to him, like that some of the team was like talking to him, and they were asking him like, dude, how do you do all this? And he goes, oh, it only takes 4% of my time. And they were like, well, what do you mean? And he goes, well, if I want to, if for those 3 shows, I film X amount of hours. So I have 24 hours a day, 7 days, right? 24 times 7. That's how many I have a week times 52 weeks. Okay. It comes out to whatever it was. It was like 1,000, whatever the number was, 1,600 hours or whatever the number is. I don't know the math. And then he goes, and if I calculate how long all the videos take for each of those, it was literally 4% of the entire year. So he just thought about things from a zoomed out perspective, whereas like people like me and you would go, well, I only have one channel. I want to focus on it. I don't have that much time. Like most of us don't actually do the math. And when you do the math, I realized I was at an event last week and I realized like, dude, I need to stop waiting. I have so many brilliant ideas. I have my main, podcast, the Passionate Few channel, but I have so many brilliant ideas off the cuff that I never capture it. So my current vision is like I think in the future, if I think 5, 10, 15 years, I think omnipresence, bro. I think whoever can manage the most channels is going to win. And so it becomes about systems and who you have running your productions or what is your sort of distribution channel. I sat down with Luke Belmar. I got to interview him as well. And this guy talks about Luke told me, he's like, dude, I've only ever done 10 podcasts ever. Like he was on our show. That was the 11th podcast ever. And he's like, I'm one of the most viral people in the world because I focus on content distribution, not content creation.
Hmm.
Huge. I focus on content distribution, not creation. Think about Tate. Even Tate, when I was talking with Tate, he's like, bro, I don't film that much. People think I film a ton. He goes like, I mean, relatively speaking, he films like once or twice a week. But you'd think from social, he's filming 8 days a week, right?
Yeah.
But it's all about distribution and leverage. If you film twice a week for 2 hours each, the compounded effect of that clipped up over time and then incentivizing clippers and building community to drive traffic, it's distribution, I think that's going to win the future. And so bottom line is for me, I've quantified that like, hey, if I have one channel that's the passionate few, and that's going to be the high quality interview production, boom, that's my networking and that's its own, 7-figure business right there. Then I have my own channel here where it's raw stuff, real time, no rules. I can be off the cuff like this. It can be off my iPhone. It could be this, that. And then, depending on how things go here, I'll have a third channel, and that will be more like behind the scenes, high quality production, mid tier day in the life vlog type stuff.
Do you think to do this? Do you think to do this right away? Obviously, you have a little bit of a base now,
Sure.
uh, and then
I,
it's like, and would you? And every time you would never post the same. Every channel would be different things. You
correct.
wouldn't post the same video on three different channels. It's different topic here because I know Iman Ghadzi has his more like channel for his higher level business people. That's the one I listen to now. I don't because his main channel is entry level shit. I don't need that. I like his new stuff's cool because it's higher level. Pull back the curtain on
Yep.
hey, actually get to 9 figures. Um,
Yep. The channel's got to be by topic. If you watch America's, think about like the way I look at it is like Tony Robbins has this concept. He
what
said,
about like a main channel of like just the Kevin Dana channel, for really like Omar Elatar, not the Passion Fever, just Omar, because you have a lot of interest as a person. Do you just do all just everything I'm interested? Because like
yeah,
yeah,
the
image
way,
stuff, as long as it ties back into your
well,
story.
Well, here's how I think about it. So the best way to answer that question up front is to think about the end, right? So here's what I do. I actually this is where it clicked for me because I struggled with this too, right? And here's where I got like super clarity and I have like no doubts about it. And I'm stoked on experimenting is just think about the end, right? So for example, for me, I just go, okay, you might think, okay, I have a channel doing this, right? Interviews or one type of thing, and I also want to do this. Is it weird if I mix the two? I would just zoom out and see it from the viewer's perspective. The best study of life is the way it is. Think about historically television channels. When you liked a channel, what kept you going back to that channel? That it did the same thing. Back in the day, MTV, it had variety, but for the most part, it was always music. It was always music videos. If you wanted something else, you go to VH1 or you go to like a different channel, right? Or you go to CBS or ABC. And so the channel should honor one thing. And here's the bottom line. Here's the punchline. You have to think about the play. So for me, for example, I think, okay, the podcast, 100 interviews a year. The Omar solo videos like this, 100 videos a year. The vlog stuff, if I go, oh, maybe I'm inspired, but I'm only inspired to do 5 or 6 vlogs or maybe 10 or 20, then I'm going to evaluate that very differently in terms of how I distribute it on a channel
Like,
than,
should I do all those different types initially just on the one channel, sees what performs the best, and then once I see, and then create
yeah,
it later on once you start
yeah.
doing that
Uh,
way they at least know Kevin Dana's channel has consistent uploads versus Kevin Dana posts once a week, but then this channel over here posts like once a month, and then it's
I,
like
I would come up. What I tell everybody is if they're brand new to YouTube, I always tell people to do a 90-day trial. Like for 90 days, give yourself permission to experiment, right? So Hormozi talks about the 12-week play. You can call it 12 weeks, 90 days, 3 months, whatever it is. But I think give yourself 12 weeks to try things and then based on that you assess, right? Even my main channel where I do high quality interviews, when I first started I tried all sorts of stuff. My first video had an iPhone and a homeless person. My last one was with a billionaire and a $50,000 camera, and in between I tried stuff here and there. But I think as you experiment, clarity will come, right? Clarity comes from execution, not from reflection, right? I think a lot of people try to get clarity up front. You can only get clarity is a feedback. right?
We're just looking at the data.
Right. Right.
Like
Exactly. And then,
cares like like with advertising, my main thing is like I don't care. I don't even have an opinion. Let's just try it, run it, look at the numbers.
right, exactly. And then you also find out if you like it. Because
Yeah.
imagine you start a new channel about vlogging, you do 3 vlogs and you go, crap, I don't like it. And now you got a dead channel. Whereas, like, if you experiment, you know what you like, what you don't like, right? Like, for me, I love combos like this. So I know I can make 100 of these a year. And even though 100 sounds like a lot, it won't feel like a lot, right? Conversely, interviews,
I
I'll
mean,
be
these are
doing.
conversations we're having offline anyways. It's just natural.
Exactly. So to me, I even thought about doing a channel where I'm like gaming because I play FIFA. It's like the one game I play with other
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. I actually talked to Tate and Luke Belmar. Both of them are down to do FIFA. And I'm like, shit, what if I launched a channel where my first episode I'm playing FIFA with Tate and we're just talking business, philosophy while we're gaming. You know what I mean? And
Does he seriously play FIFA?
I swear to God, yeah, we talked about it. We talked about it on camera too. I think it's in the interview. But
FIFA, does he do Call of Duty?
I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, these are the kinds of ideas, and so I'm stoked you were down to hop on, Kev, and I hope a lot of people got some value from this. I know it's kind of off the cuff and raw, but I think that's really what makes a difference between personal brands that take off and get lift. They're willing to experiment. They're willing to create social proof. They're willing to be original. They're willing to tell their story, and they're willing to be consistent while they experiment over time. So. I hope that helped, and I know we'll be doing more questions. So I hope that was helpful, Kev.
Yeah. Thanks.
Absolutely, bro. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, comment down below any questions you guys have, and also fill out the form below. You guys can join any of the programs, follow us on social, and apply to ask questions to me myself on the show as well down below. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Sweet.